Imagine for a moment the rugged world of the Vikings, fierce warriors and intrepid explorers navigating icy seas and rugged landscapes. But beneath those battle-hardened helmets and thick beards lay a surprisingly practical concern: dental hygiene. It might seem a bit unexpected, right? When we think of Vikings, toothpicks and toothpaste aren't the first things that come to mind. Yet, these ancient northerners had their own unique ways to keep their teeth clean, long before the age of electric toothbrushes or minty gels. So what did Vikings do to care for their teeth? How did they manage without modern dental products? And why did they even bother? These are the questions that lead us into an intriguing look at a lesser-known aspect of Viking life, one that blends survival, health, and a touch of cultural pride. The world the Vikings inhabited was anything but gentle. From the cold Scandinavian fjords to the windswept shores they raided and settled, life was tough and teeth faced their fair share of challenges. Their diet, heavy in coarse grains, dried meats, and the occasional sweet berry, would have left plenty of residue to grapple with. Not to mention the absence of refined sugars that plague modern teeth, but also the lack of modern dental care to counteract natural wear and tear. Archaeological digs give us a window into this ancient world. Viking skeletons recovered from burial sites reveal teeth showing wear patterns and cavities, telling stories of both the hardships and care taken. Alongside these remains, researchers have unearthed various implements, some resembling small picks or sticks, others more mysterious tools that hint at dental practices far from primitive. It's almost amusing to think that even these hardcore warriors, famed for their fierce raids, might have grimaced at a toothache or dreaded a sore gum. Their approach to dental care was wonderfully resourceful. Instead of branded toothbrushes, Vikings often used chew sticks, twigs carefully selected and bitten down to fray one end, creating a natural brush. Imagine carrying a little twig in your mouth, gnawing at it between battles or while tending to daily tasks, extracting the natural scrubbing power of wood fibers. These sticks, sometimes harvested from aromatic trees, could even leave a faint herbal taste, though minty fresh probably wasn't the sensation they aimed for. Beyond twigs, Vikings turned to abrasive powders crafted from crushed bones or shells. These coarse substances acted like a primitive toothpaste, helping to scrub away plaque and food particles. They also used charcoal, yes, the same blackened stuff from campfires, not just to clean, but possibly to whiten teeth slightly. Herbal mixtures, sometimes combined with salt or ashes, might have been rubbed onto teeth or gums to fend off infection and reduce discomfort. It's worth pausing to imagine the texture and taste of these homemade hygiene products. Far from the sweet, foamy pastes we know today, Viking dental cleansers were gritty, smoky, and perhaps a little salty, a far cry from the breath fresheners lining modern bathroom shelves. If you ever thought your toothpaste was an acquired taste, be glad you weren't rinsing with a handful of crushed bones. But this raises the question, why did Vikings bother with such care? Was it vanity, health, or something else? The answer seems rooted in a blend of practicality and social considerations. For Vikings, oral health wasn't just about comfort. It was linked closely to their ability to perform. A mouth plagued by pain could weaken a warrior's resolve or distract a craftsman. Furthermore, keeping teeth clean may have been a status signal, healthy teeth implying strength and vitality, important traits in a culture that valued physical prowess and endurance. There's also a deeper connection between dental hygiene and overall health. Infections in the mouth could lead to serious illness, which in a world with limited medical care was a much graver concern than we might assume. So, maintaining oral health was part of maintaining one's warrior readiness and general well-being. An amusing thought here is that while their swords might have struck fear into enemies, perhaps it was their breath that was less intimidating, though probably still less offensive than you might imagine. All this paints a fascinating picture of Viking life, where even something as seemingly mundane as dental care was approached with ingenuity and care. Far from being a trivial detail, these practices reveal a culture attentive to the details of survival and social life. So as we drift toward the end of this exploration, it's clear that Viking dental hygiene was a thoughtful blend of natural materials and practical wisdom. Using what nature offered, These ancient northerners developed effective ways to protect their smiles from the harsh realities of their environment. It's a reminder that even the fiercest warriors had softer, more human concerns, like the simple need for clean teeth. If you found yourself surprised or intrigued by how Vikings tackled dental care, why not share your favorite Viking fact or perhaps your own dental tip in the comments? And if you enjoy these calm, curious journeys through history, consider liking and subscribing for more stories from the sleepy history legends. Until next time, keep your teeth clean and your mind wandering. Crack open history's secrets. Smile like a Viking today. Subscribe for more sleepy tales. Welcome, dear friends, to another gentle journey through the quiet corners of history, where today we turn our attention to a surprisingly intimate part of Viking life, how these formidable Norse explorers took care of their teeth. Yes, while their sagas tell tales of epic battles and daring voyages, their daily routines reveal a different kind of grit, the quest for clean teeth without the aid of modern toothbrushes or minty toothpaste tubes. It's a small detail that opens a window into their world, blending the practical with the peculiar in a way that might just make you smile, hopefully not from a toothache. Imagine the Viking Age, a time when the cold North Sea winds whipped against rugged shores, and survival demanded resilience not just in battle, but in everyday life. The Vikings were no strangers to harsh climates and tough living conditions, yet archaeological discoveries show us they harbored an unexpected concern for personal care, including dental hygiene. Excavations have revealed teeth that tell stories, some marked by wear and cavities, others surprisingly well maintained. Alongside these, tools like small scrapers and fragments that might have served as early toothbrushes or dental picks have emerged, reminding us that even these fierce warriors knew the discomfort of a toothache. It's almost amusing to think that, despite their fearsome reputations, Vikings might have grimaced not just at enemy attacks, but at the sting of dental pain. After all, a warrior distracted by a sore tooth would hardly be at his best on the battlefield. So what exactly did they use to keep those pearly, or perhaps more often, not so pearly chompers clean? Instead of plastic bristles and fluoride gels, Vikings relied on natural materials found in their environment. Twigs and chew sticks made from certain trees served as rudimentary toothbrushes. Their fibers, when frayed, could scrub away debris from the teeth. It's easy to picture a Viking standing by a hearth after a day of raiding or farming, gnawing thoughtfully on a twig to freshen his breath. But there was more to their dental toolkit than just wood. They also created abrasive powders from crushed bones and shells, which acted like early toothpastes, scrubbing surfaces clean. Charcoal, with its gritty texture and absorbent qualities, was another favorite ingredient, sometimes mixed with herbal concoctions intended to fight off bad breath and bacteria. The taste, well, certainly not the spearmint freshness we're accustomed to. It was probably smoky, earthy, and a little gritty. Imagine brushing your teeth with the ashes from your campfire. Not exactly a spa day for your mouth, but effective enough in its own rugged way. But these practices weren't just random acts of hygiene. They had clear reasons behind them. For Vikings, maintaining oral health went beyond comfort. Painful teeth could hinder a warrior's ability to eat, speak, and fight, basic necessities for survival and status. A healthy mouth, as part of being battle-ready and socially respected. You might say that a Viking's breath needed to be less of a weapon than his sword. Oral health was also linked to overall well-being, a concept echoed today as we understand how dental issues can affect the heart and other organs. In this light, their dental care routines were as practical as they were deliberate. They represent a clever adaptation to the resources at hand, reflecting a culture that valued strength and resilience, not just in the grand gestures of conquest, but in the quieter moments of self-care. The Vikings remind us that even in the most rugged times, there was room for attention to the small details, those tiny acts that help us face each day with a little more confidence and a lot less toothache. So the next time you pick up your toothbrush or squeeze out some toothpaste, take a moment to appreciate the long history behind these daily rituals. From the chew sticks and crushed bones of the Vikings to our modern minty gels, the journey of dental care is a fascinating tale of human ingenuity and endurance. And who knows, maybe there's a bit of Viking spirit in all of us, quietly guarding our smiles through the ages. But how exactly did these fierce Norsemen manage to keep their teeth clean without the luxury of modern toothpaste or those handy little toothbrushes we often take for granted? Well, it turns out the Vikings had their own clever, if somewhat gritty methods that might make us pause before our next dental routine. Imagine yourself in a Viking village. No brightly lit pharmacies, no flavored gels promising fresh breath, just the raw elements of nature and some surprisingly resourceful habits. One popular tool was something called a chew stick. Picture a small twig, stripped of its bark, chewed on one end until it frayed into a brush-like texture. The Vikings would gnaw on these sticks to scrub away food and debris, a bit like a primitive toothbrush. It's simple, sustainable, and certainly effective, though it probably lacked the gentle feel of modern bristles. But chew sticks weren't the only weapons in their dental arsenal. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence that Vikings sometimes ground up crushed bones or shells to create abrasive powders. These natural scrubbing agents could help remove plaque and stains from teeth, acting much like a rudimentary toothpaste. Imagine literally rubbing tiny bits of old bone across your teeth. Definitely a far cry from the smooth pastes we're used to. As you might guess, this method was more about function than flavor. Speaking of flavor, Vikings also used charcoal and various herbal mixtures to clean their teeth. Charcoal, with its gritty texture and dark color, made for an effective scrubbing material and could help reduce bacteria. Meanwhile, herbs like mint, rosemary, or even juniper might have been incorporated not just for their mild antiseptic properties, but perhaps to add a hint of freshness, or at least mask the more robust sense of Viking life, which probably included the occasional whiff of something less than pleasant. While today's toothpaste aims for a crisp, minty blast, Viking dental care was likely more about practicality than palate-pleasing tastes. So, if you ever think your toothpaste isn't quite your favorite flavor, just be glad it's not a mix of crushed bones and charcoal. This natural toolkit, chew sticks, crushed powders, charcoal, and herbs, shows a deep understanding of the materials available to them and a commitment to maintaining oral health even in challenging conditions. It was far from glamorous but undeniably effective, and in a way, it highlights the timeless human desire to care for oneself, to fend off discomfort, and to present oneself well, even on the harsh frontiers of history. We can almost hear the Vikings, fierce and rugged, pausing between their voyages or battles to gnaw on a twig or brush their teeth with gritty powders, a ritual perhaps as integral to their daily life as sharpening swords or tending to the hearth. It's a reminder that amidst the tales of raids and conquests, these were people who took time to look after their health, including something as personal as their dental hygiene. The next time you pick up your toothbrush or squeeze out a dollop of toothpaste, consider the remarkably earthy and inventive ways the Vikings kept their smiles clean. It's a fascinating glimpse into how necessity breeds creativity, and how even the fiercest warriors had moments of quiet care, tucked away from the roar of the longship's sails. So picture this. You're living in the rugged north, where the winds bite and the days can stretch long and cold. Life as a Viking wasn't exactly a stroll through a sunlit meadow. It was tough, demanding, and often downright gritty. But amid these harsh conditions, the Vikings cultivated surprisingly sophisticated habits when it came to personal care. It turns out their approach to keeping teeth clean was as practical and resourceful as their famed shipbuilding skills. Archaeologists have uncovered quite a bit of evidence to back this up. When they examine Viking skeletons, they find teeth that tell stories. Some show signs of wear and tear, cavities, or even dental work. And in various Viking settlements, tools believed to be used for dental hygiene have been found. Imagine holding a small twig or a piece of bone worn smooth from use, and realizing it might have once served as a toothbrush of sorts. It's a reminder that even a culture often associated with battle cries and longships had a quieter, more domestic side. And who knows, given the state of their teeth, maybe even Vikings had those moments where they grimaced at a stubborn cavity or a sensitive molar. Now, how exactly did they manage this? Without the luxury of modern toothpaste or electric brushes, Vikings turned to the natural world around them. Chew sticks, for instance, were a common tool, small twigs from certain trees that were chewed until one end frayed into a brush-like texture. This simple invention worked much like a toothbrush does today, scraping away bits of food and plaque. And if that wasn't enough, they had abrasive powders made from crushed bones or shells, which they'd rub on their teeth to help scrub them clean. But it's not just about scrubbing. The Vikings also used charcoal. Yes, the stuff you'd imagine on a grill, as a kind of early toothpaste. Charcoal's natural properties made it useful for absorbing impurities and whitening teeth. They mixed it with various herbs, creating a paste that was likely gritty and earthy. Minty fresh? Probably not the goal here. More like a rugged blend of whatever grew nearby, giving them breath that was functional, if not exactly Instagram-worthy. It's easy to imagine a Viking thinking, better this than a toothache before a raid. And why did they bother at all? Well, dental care wasn't just about vanity or social niceties. For Vikings, keeping their teeth healthy had practical benefits. Painful cavities or infected gums could seriously undermine a warrior's effectiveness on the battlefield. No one wanted to be distracted by a throbbing jaw when facing an enemy. Plus, a clean mouth was likely a mark of status and respect within their communities. Oral health was linked to overall well-being, which was crucial in a society where strength and vitality were prized. Interestingly, while we might assume Viking breath was as fierce as their swords, their dental routines suggest they cared enough to avoid the worst of it. So, perhaps your breath was less something to fear and more a reminder that even the toughest warriors had to manage everyday realities like bad breath. Looking back, it's fascinating to see how the Vikings combined natural materials and practical needs to care for something as delicate as their teeth. Their methods might seem rudimentary compared to modern dentistry, but they were clever solutions born from necessity and a deep understanding of their environment. It's a quiet testament to human ingenuity and the timeless desire to take care of ourselves, even in the midst of chaos. So next time you brush your teeth, maybe spare a thought for those ancient chew sticks and charcoal pastes, reminders that dental care is a story as old as humanity itself, shared quietly across centuries and cultures. Peeling back the layers of Viking life reveals a world shaped by stark contrasts: brutal winters and sunlit summers, fierce battles and quiet moments. These Norse explorers and warriors were known for their ruggedness, but beneath that tough exterior lay a surprising attention to personal care, including their teeth. Archaeologists have uncovered evidence that points to more than just survival instincts. The Vikings had an awareness of hygiene that might catch you off guard. For example, when researchers examined Viking skeletal remains, they found signs of tooth wear and cavities, common for any population, especially one with a diet heavy in coarse grains and sometimes sugary honey. Yet, alongside these dental challenges, they discovered small tools and debris, suggesting the Vikings didn't just resign themselves to toothaches. Tiny, worn-down pieces of birchwood and other twigs near burial sites hint at their use as natural toothbrushes, while remnants of crushed shells and bones suggest abrasive powders were part of their routine. It's almost amusing to imagine a Viking warrior, famed for battling sea storms and enemy clans, pausing to gnaw on a twig to clean his teeth. You might picture him grimacing at a cavity like the rest of us, a fleeting moment of human vulnerability beneath the helmet and chainmail. And it's not just speculation. Actual Viking dental tools, though primitive by today's standards, have been unearthed, small scrapers and picks that must have taken care in their crafting. This context paints a picture of a society that balanced the harshness of their environment with practical self-care. Despite the odds, they sought ways to maintain their health, understanding that a strong body included a healthy mouth. This blend of toughness and attentiveness makes the Vikings all the more fascinating, showing that even in a time dominated by brute force, subtle habits like dental hygiene had their place. Their methods might seem rudimentary compared to modern dentistry, but they were clever solutions born from necessity and a deep understanding of their environment. It's a quiet testament to human ingenuity and the timeless desire to take care of ourselves, even in the midst of chaos. So next time you brush your teeth, maybe spare a thought for those ancient chew sticks and charcoal pastes, reminders that dental care is a story as old as humanity itself, shared quietly across centuries and cultures.